points that we would like to discuss is so broad, and so numerous. Unfortunately, we have around 20 minutes left in our second half. But I'll read some of the issues that the raging debate in the U.S. have brought out. One is the anti-gun are citing the Britain, where even the bobbies, the police, don't carry firearms now. However, we have an item here from, it's a bit slow, this is from the Daily Telegraph, is it correct? No, Mail Online, with the headline, Culture of Violence, Gun Crime Goes Up by 89% in a Decade in Britain. And so the question, they're now raising the question, has their gunless policy been working? Apparently they have problems with that. There's an item here about Switzerland, and it's Switzerland universal possession of firearms, and the article here is how Switzerland developed a gun culture that works. Let's read this. Every home has an assault rifle, not just a gun.
Military.
They have a citizens' army, and it says here, even though Switzerland has not been involved in an armed conflict since a standoff between Catholics and Protestants in 1847, the Swiss are very serious not only about their right to own weapons, but also to carry them around in public. Because of this general acceptance and even pride in gun ownership, nobody bats an eye at the sight of a civilian riding a bus, bike, or motorcycle to the shooting range with a rifle slung across the shoulder. When I was in Geneva, sa train, babiyahe na kami ng gabi, dati nga yung mga tao naka-rifle. Walang problema. It's just so normal. And one of the lowest crime rates in Europe, in Switzerland. So, there's another item here about Japan. And the crime rate in Japan is very low. But the argument here is it's not the guns, it's the culture of the Japanese. Now, we invited Linggo Alcos here because he is a gun aficionado. We've known each other for 50 years. And there are certain stories I'd like you to hear from Linggoy, such as his ownership of 50. How many 50 caliber machine guns did you have?
30 lang.
30 caliber lang.
I wouldn't be able to carry a 50.
How many did you have? Just one?
2.
You had 2. But obviously you don't have now, so because you're talking about it, no? You don't have that. And during what coup did General Montaño borrow your 30 calibers?
I think that was the 1989, December.
The December coup, the big one.
The 30 calibers were deployed here in Makati.
Who borrowed it? Or did BI borrow it?
Yeah, but indirectly. During the coup, I think I lent the CIDG, the CIS formerly, somewhere between
Don't they have their own? Why did they borrow from you?
5 and 10 long arms, including grenade launchers. At one time, I had about half a dozen.
You also had a grenade launcher.
And if I had stayed in government long enough, I would have had a recoilless rifle.
Recoilless? Yung mortar, you never had?
Hindi. Kasi yung mortar, hindi direct fire indirect fire.
Okay, anyway, so...
but I want to relate to you.
Yeah, go ahead.
In the case of Boy, he was talking as a private citizen. Okay, what I have to relate is as a civilian government official, to be able to do my job, how difficult it would be without my own firearms license and with permits to carry. Because when I became first deputy commissioner of NTC in 1986, I needed security, and I was assigned 6 policemen of the Integrated National Police from what was called the Field Force Unit. Okay, yung Field Force, parang yun yung SAF. Out of the 6, only 1 was okay. But because he was the driver, he was recalled right away. The 5 who stayed with me only for a few months. 1 went crazy. One was killed in a drug-related fight. The other one, he featured in the San Francisco Examiner as Make My Day, and in the center spread of the Inquirer, shooting somebody. Okay? And the last one, he married my mayordoma. So what I'm saying is, you see, at the time, my father-in-law was the Deputy Director
You're
General.
saying the
No,
military...
teka. My father-in-law was the Deputy Director General of the INP, formerly the Deputy Chief PC for Police Matters. I suppose, mahal ako ng father-in-law ko. And so, when I request for security, they should have given me the best. Okay? Yun ang nangyari. Okay.
So, let's sum that up. And what you're saying is, our police force is really so low quality, and we're entrusting them with the security of the public. And you're implying it's not going to work. We, as individual citizens, must be able to protect ourselves. That's what you're saying.
Yes. But second point, during Cory's time as deputy and then commissioner of NTC, every time there was a coup, you see, in an actual coup, there is a battle for people's hearts and minds. Okay, and this is carried out with the broadcast media as the primary weapon. And so, as the NTC commissioner, we regulate telecom and broadcast. No? It's my job to regulate, including closing down media. Okay, my experience was that every time I had to do this, I was subject to police boundaries. Meaning, say, if I have to close down DCEC and EDSA Quezon City, I have to get the police from Quezon City. Then, when I have to close down your station, the WAD, I have to get Mandaluyong Police. And then Makati, so forth. Okay. Well, this happened to me. I went to the Baler station in Quezon City, and nobody talked to me. They were, yung balimbing, yung wait and see.
It goes back to the same conclusion that the police forces, you cannot expect to protect you even as a government civilian leader.
So the next thing that happened, I went to Mandaluyong, I got a police car, and then as we turned yung 9 de Febrero to Sio, okay, the police car went beside me and said, Sir, pwede ba kayo na lang? Kayo na lang. Something you're supposed to back me. Bakit? Kasi pag Christmas, namamasko kami dyan. Okay. I had a friend from a former co-employee, and I asked him, ilan ba yung baril natin? And he said, we have 3. Okay. O sige, dito na lang kayo sa kanto, kami na lang pasa. And you know, the WAD, when you go in from the front, that's a labyrinth. Okay. So, yun yung experience ko.
I have a question now, and attorney, you can also join in. Kung ikaw, government official na, hindi mo maasa ng police, at least may kakayahan ka na magkaroon ng sariling gamit mo to defend yourself. What about the ordinary poor people who cannot even buy a paltik, di ba? Kahit isang tuka. Sino magpo-protection sa kanila kung ang kapulisan natin ganyan, di ba? Attorney, di ba? Should we now make it part of the law to arm our citizens? Why can we have? I'm just asking questions. Like Switzerland, train them into self-defense forces in their own community and give them arms. But, of course, that will not happen. Because our system is so exploitative. The ruling class, which gets all the wealth, will never allow that. Because the people, like the American people, will definitely rebel. But we're being honest about this. If we have a more just society, we will entrust people more with arms. Kasi makatarungan na lipunan eh. Kung di makatarungan, yung naghaharing uri, matatakot talaga. Any objection from Lingo Elcos, who is part of the ruling class? Old elite si Lingoy eh.
Well, although I was born to the ruling class, when I applied to be an actor, to replace the typecast actors for a sendero, I failed the test because I could no longer make a P. Okay? Anyway, I cannot speak as a member of the ruling class. I can only speak as somebody who, although I did not become poor enough to join the masa, that I sympathize with them, and I feel that they are not served, including protected by the state.
I just want to make that point, that Switzerland can do that, give assault rifles to every family. Because alam nila, every family will not rebel. And we know...
or if they all rebel, then there's really something wrong with the system.
The social welfare system in Switzerland is fantastic.
First
Alaga
class,
tao.
first rate.
Kaya hindi magre-rebelde. Magdidepensa ng bansa. And that is one of the reasons why Nazi Germany never invaded Switzerland, aside from its neutral policy. But what would stop an imperial country? What policy would stop?
Besides, the Swiss didn't have a tank for every home.
Okay, but now, attorney, go ahead.
That's the ideal world of. I mean, that's what actually America is also trying to pattern their system too, no? Because Switzerland has proven that it can be done. But at the same time, on the other end of the spectrum, there are countries that actually allow that, and it failed.
Okay.
The gun ownership, not only addresses, actually, if you think about it, not only addresses self-protection of the person, and it also addresses, it's also an antidote against an oppressive state and government, which actually is not appreciated here in this country. When you talk about gun ownership here, it's always about self-defense, and, well, it could also be for sport, but it is not looked at as a means of actually fighting a strong government, which we have an experience of way back in 1972.
Not a strong government, but an oppressive, exploitative
strong,
government.
yes. Let me, I miss the word oppressive. A strong and oppressive government.
But a strong government that is pro-people is okay.
Who's going to fight us? If it's good for the country because the country is growing, it benefits a lot of people. Who wants to have a change?
Okay, let's listen. We have 7 minutes. We'll get 3 minutes to listen to an American Second Amendment advocate. So maybe let's roll our video.
Welcome to Firearm Patriot. Today I'm standing beside a print of the Declaration of Independence, which was signed, of course, on July 4th, 1776. And we all know the history of why this document was signed, at least most of it. We know that there was substantial taxation without representation by the King of England. The colonies were really fed up with that type of thing. But also, there was another few incidents that precipitated the signing of this declaration. First, in 1774, the British government banned the import of firearms and gunpowder from any outside source, so the colonies would not have any source of firearms or gunpowder from either France or Spain. Also, in 1774 and 1775, they instituted a ban of certain weapons, and these bans were taken from individual Americans and colonists, and also local municipalities. And many times, they were taken by force. The reason, again, was they wanted to put down any rebellion. Now, this led to the Declaration of Independence as well as the drafting of the Second Amendment of the Constitution. As you all know and have heard by now, Senator Feinstein is going to introduce a bill at the beginning of the year to ban 120 specifically named firearms. She also wants to ban certain semi-automatic rifles, pistols, and shotguns that have detachable magazines and one or more characteristics of a military-style weapon. We don't know exactly what that is because her website doesn't say what it is, but let's take a look at a very common weapon today. This is an XDS from Springfield Armory. Now, it has a detachable magazine with 5 rounds in it. It also has what could be considered a military characteristic. At the very beginning of it, at the front of the weapon, is a Picatinny rail, which can have a laser or light attached to it. That, my friends, can very well be considered a military characteristic, which would make this gun banned or illegal to sell or possess. Also, according to her website, the bill she wants to introduce would grandfather in all the weapons that are in existence at this time. However, if you own one of the weapons that's being banned, then you have to register that weapon with ATF. You have to have your photograph taken and your fingerprints taken, the type of weapon, and also the serial number of the weapon. You also have to go through that process if there's a transfer of that weapon to any other individual. So what I'm asking you to do now is to protect and be a patriot for the Second Amendment. I would ask that you go to the description of this video and click on the links. I have a link for your senators and also for your representative. If you would go click on that and contact your representative, let them know you're against any gun control legislation, be it restrictions or bans. Let them know what they should be doing is working on a balanced budget and figuring out how to reduce this $16 trillion debt and not taking away our individual liberties. All you have to do is simply type an email that says, I oppose any gun restrictions. You can call them, you can write them, you can email them, you can do all three, but you've got to act now. I'm afraid that if we don't act now, that there will be some serious gun restriction legislation that may be passed in the country.
So, okay. So, nakita natin, it was a very rational presentation, historical presentation, and yung ending niya, sinasabi niya, ang gobyerno, dapat ayusin na yung problema at huwag idahilan yung mga insidenteng ganyan in order to create conditions where the state may suppress the people. Ano? We have our last 2 minutes. So, Linggoy, anong closing mo sa mga storya mo? Are you still a gun aficionado?
No more. Since 1995, I'm no longer... in fact, may kinakalawang na yung mga baril ko natitira. Yung mga M16,
bakit?
mga
Hindi ka natakot?
Hindi na ako takot eh.
Okay. Attorney,
Yes,
so I know we barely scratch the surface of the legal issues, no? But what else does the public have to know?
Well, let me refer to this because this might be the future for gun owners. No?
That's right.
The Senate Bill 2993 also imposes now more harsher penalties for 2993, if passed, will now impose harsher penalties for people carrying illegal guns.
Okay.
So if you are actually a license holder, you should have no fear. This is a good bill to protect you because it will allow you to now to carry your gun as a matter of right.
Yeah, can you read that provision? That's very important. That
Okay.
section ba yan? Section, no?
Yes, it's Section 8. It says, title is, Carrying of Firearms Outside of Residence or Place of Business. A permit to carry firearms outside of residence shall be issued by the Chief PNP to any qualified person whose life is under actual threat or their lives are in imminent danger due to the nature of their profession, occupation, or business. It shall be the burden of the applicant to prove that his life is under actual threat by submitting a threat assessment certificate from the PNP. For purposes of this act, the following professionals are considered to be in imminent danger due to the nature of their profession, occupation, or business. Certified public accountants, accredited media practitioners, cashiers, bank tellers, engineers, members of the bar, and business persons.
Okay, that sums it up. Ano? With this bill, maybe yung mga profession na may inherent threat ay hindi na baka bigyan, kundi mandatory na
Hindi
bigyan.
naman ba makaawa?
Okay. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat at pag-usapan pa natin nang tayo ay magkaroon ng isang intelihenteng patakaran tungkol dito sa pag-aari ng publiko ng mga pangdepensa ng sarili. Maraming
Naligal.
salamat. Ha?
Naligal.
Naligal. Okay. Our gun
Thank you naman.
aficionado.